Welcome back to Actual Proper Podcast. Myself, Reece Farkash, my co-host, Twila Amato. How's it going this week, Twila?
It has been a good week.
Cool. That's good. But before we get into it, we want to just say sorry for the episode interruption because we've had our main uploading for Spotify and our podcast has not been working. So I've been in touch with the people who run podcasts over at Spotify and getting all the feeds sorted out and all the problems. So it's getting moved onto our website instead. We were on SoundCloud before, but now we're moving onto our website. And to get the upload feeds all right, we actually have to go through Spotify. We can't do it ourselves. So it's just taken a long time.
This sounds very legitimate and very adult.
Yeah, I've spent so much time looking into it and trying to get it to work, and it's been so long already that
Are you going to plug the website then?
Yeah, polstudios.com. Go check it out. There's nothing there, really, but
Well,
it's pretty cool.
You didn't have to say there's nothing there, but okay.
That's okay. It has some cool, maybe future merch coming with some cool stickers, specifically for Campbell River here, and they actually are really dope. And there's even a Vancouver Island one
I
or
definitely
North
order
Island.
one for sure.
Thank you.
A couple.
Do you think it'll take off?
I think so.
All right.
I believe in this endeavor.
Thank you. Everyone, if you're listening right now, go ahead to polstudios.com. Head over to the merch side bar at the top. Take a look at those two prototype stickers. Tell us what you think. Would you buy them? I think a couple bucks. I think they're pretty cool. Like bumper stickers for your car.
Most definitely, yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Well, I'm very eager for that business endeavor to just take off. Yeah, I designed them and I just had a lot of fun with them because
Yeah, they look really good, actually.
Thank you.
I like them a lot. I really like the color scheme, actually.
Thank you. I love the color scheme too because I just think it just represents the North Island so well.
I was just gonna say, yeah, it's very definitive of the North Island.
Yeah.
And it's just, I guess it's because it's so dreamy too, you know? So it's kind of it's really nice. It's a stylized version of the North Island for sure, but it's really good.
The North Island has such a cool culture though. It does you don't imagine it until you actually experience it,
Yeah,
but it has such a unique culture that I think I captured them really well in a very simplified way.
Yes.
So, yeah, go check them out. Tell us what you think, please.
Plug.
But anyway, back to the main part of today's episode. So, just came back from a hike, and it's
and it was great.
Yeah, it'll take a little while for the mainland to catch up to us here on the island, but right now it's that part of the year where it's a lot spring to summerish instead of winter to spring.
Right.
Where it's that perfect temperature. It's a little bit overcast, just a nice in between cold / not too cold day where going on a hike right now, all you need is a light sweater and you don't get warm. Yeah, and you don't get warm. You don't overheat. Your back's not sweaty on your backpack.
Exactly.
It's just such a pleasant experience.
It's really good, but also because even though it's a little overcast, there's still a lot of good light.
Yeah.
And you still see your way and you still get to appreciate the views, and the forest and stuff. And it's really good. And I really appreciated it. Today, though, was kind of that weird, there was some showers throughout the day, sprinkles. And that was a little annoying, but it was still a really good hike.
Yeah, so once the mainland catches up with us, don't waste that time because it's only here for a little while. And then it's I don't know. I might be a little biased just because I hate being sweaty and stuff, but going for hikes when it's really hot out is very uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's very uncomfortable. And I love hiking, don't get me wrong. And when I was younger, I guess, and a little more active, I went on more hikes with a whole lot of friends and family and stuff like that. And we'd always do it primarily in the summer, and that was when it would be the hottest, of course, and it's so awful and disgusting. I remember one time I actually almost fainted. I was 13 on a hike with my brothers and my aunt and my uncle, and almost fainted because it was so hot, and I got sunsick.
Was that back in the Philippines?
No, this was
in Canada?
Yeah, this was actually in Squamish. So
nice.
Yeah, so on the mainland, and it was not pretty. It sucked.
Yeah. Same with I always went to Jasper to go hiking and stuff like that. And in the summer that gets extremely hot.
Yeah.
And you're on the side of a mountain, so it's so much more hot too. There's no shade. It's just all rock reflecting sun and it's just super hot.
No, it's not pleasant to be hiking in that kind of condition, but today was perfect for that. And I'm hoping that towards the end of the not the end of the week, but towards like this coming week as well. If there's another chance for good weather, where it's not super rainy, but it's also not super hot, just like that perfect day to go hiking. I would love to do that again for sure.
Yeah, so I guess moral of the story once again, just like don't waste the time where it's like the like week or two where it's like perfect hiking weather.
But I also was like, remember I was saying earlier today too that like, I want to go on more hikes, I guess, while I still am able to do so without, much trouble, because like, I mean, yes, I'm a noodle and like I'm very weak and whiny, but like I'm not in pain doing it, and like I don't have any like troubles breathing or like walking, and like I can still do it comfortably, and I won't necessarily like have a heart attack doing it. And so like I guess just like taking advantage of the fact that I'm still like my body's still able to do stuff like this and enjoy doing it, like it made me realize that maybe I shouldn't be like such a shut-in,
And like I think one of the also things that noticed too is like one thing that like you never think about until it's like right there is like, man, tourists are like some of the greatest people, man. They're all so friendly. They're all so excited to be out doing stuff, and they're like
they kept
always
saying hi.
Yeah, they always say hi, and they're so happy and like smiling, and it's just like so cool to live in a place where there's just like people from all over the world that are always around.
But also,
really
I
cool.
find like islanders are just like quite nice.
Yeah, that's
in
true.
general. Like they always say hi to you, even if like you weren't even looking in their direction. They're just like, "Hey, good morning," and I'm like, "Okay."
Yeah. Pretty chill.
But yeah, no, it was a good day.
Speaking about other remarkable Canadians, though, we've been watching this program for a while now, and it's all done by Canadians. Like I believe, like every actor in is Canadian, but also I believe writers, producers, the whole crew is all Canadian too.
And it was shot in Canada.
Yeah, it's a little show called Travelers.
So
pretty much
good!
only shot in Vancouver.
It's so good. Oh my gosh, it's so good, and I can't. Okay, so I love this show because one, I can not only fangirl over Will from Will and Grace, but like, I guess because Vancouver, maybe I'm biased in saying this, but like Vancouver just provides such a beautiful backdrop for, like it's that perfect blend of like scenic, like mountains and rivers and trees and things like that, but it's also a good cityscape. And obviously like all the streets and all the venues and stuff like that, I'm just like, oh my gosh, that's the library, or that's across the library, or like that's this parking lot at this street, and like I know them so well because I've been there and like spent a remarkable amount of time there, and it's just like, whoa, that is so neat. Like there was an episode where they, not a spoiler alert necessarily, but like there was an episode where they shot in like the CBC, and I was just like, oh my God, that's the lobby that I went to every single day when I was interning there. And I was just like, that's so neat. And it was just like, fangirl everywhere.
Yeah, it's so cool.
But it's also just like a really good premise to begin with. Like,
yeah, it's like everything is like, it's beautifully made.
It's very beautifully done. And just like I guess the quality of the production was just absolutely amazing, like so stunning. The editing just has me geeking out over it because it's so good. But
same with like all methods of like production, from like just filming, gorgeous shots all the time. The focus pullers are nailing it every single time. That's
so
what like in the newest season, their focus game gets so much stronger, and
but
it's
also,
like
did you notice that like in season 3 their color palettes have totally changed? Like it's definitely like, I wouldn't say warmer, but like a little cooler now, and like definitely on more like I guess like a purpley kind of side. So like I don't know, like the color grading's amazing, and just like, but the writing is so good.
The writing, the acting is also like always surprises me with how good it is. It's so good,
but it's so convincing, I guess. And like
it's surprised because like a lot of those actors, like this is like
their
they're
first
only
acting gig,
like their name gig, and it's like they're already nailing it all the time.
So good.
It's such a strong cast.
Yeah, it's such a strong cast, but also just like I guess it just the writing really always gets me, and the twists and turns, but also, I don't know, the premise is just so good.
So interesting, yeah.
It's so interesting. And I mean, so it is sci-fi.
Yeah.
And I'm not generally like a sci-fi kind of person, whether that be literature or like movies and shows, but like this definitely Travelers, like, man, I'm willing to like take a deep dive into it just because it's so good.
Yeah, it's like a sci-fi show that like not fans of sci-fi can definitely get into.
Exactly.
Like it's just
It's
unique.
easily digestible too, I think.
Yeah,
and that's
that too.
the reason
That too.
why I'm so interested in it. And it's so like, it's not like,
it's easily digestible. It also leaves you wanting more, and that like there's more, but like it's just like such an easy way of like feeding it to you.
Yeah, exactly. No, it immerses you for sure, like right from the get-go, but it doesn't leave you hanging necessarily, you know? So it's so good. I love it so much. And just like, again, aside from the whole, this was shot in my city, and I know all the venues that they shot it at, like, besides all that, it's such a beautifully done show.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of, it raises
a lot of beautiful moments too.
a lot of beautiful moments, but also like, besides, I think, and this is gonna get emotional like real quick, but like, besides the production value of it, definitely just like the ethical questions that it raises, you know, and
100%.
just like, and just the emotions that they present and all of those things, just so beautifully done and handled. And I think there's just a lot of heart that was like put into the writing and just, again, the production of this show, which is that's what makes it so amazing.
I think it's amazing where you can take a genre like sci-fi, but also add deeper messages to it. That's like very sometimes episodic, but like it's hard for sci-fi as a medium to get viewers into that
way
of
of
thinking,
so
but also
niche,
appreciate it. And it's the fact that they pull it off so well every single time is
so
like
good.
mind-blowing. Yeah.
It's so
The amount of Canadian talent on that show is honestly astonishing.
Yeah, it is. And I think, I guess it shouldn't be astonishing necessarily, because we know Canadians can pull things off like this, you know, like we know there's a lot of good talent, you know, from here. It's just that I guess there's just not a lot of teams that are like specifically Canadian and like, you know, that a show is specifically Canadian made necessarily. And I think that's why we think it's astonishing, but like it shouldn't be, you know, like it should be the norm that like Canadians are like
killing it all the time.
Exactly. Whoa, this just became a media criticism. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
But yeah, no. It's such a good show, and I highly recommend it. 10/10.
Definitely recommend it. Go check it out. It's on Netflix. I mean, that's usually the gate that most people need to cross. If it's not on Netflix, they don't watch it. Totally understandable. I'm the same way.
Yeah.
So it's on Netflix. Recommend taking a look-see.
But I absolutely love it. So good.
So moving on to the second part, or I guess the first segment of the show, however you want to call it, into a little bit of advice. So this is going to be the second time we've actually done this. The first one was actually last week's episode. That's going to be like uploaded at the same time because like the issues that's been going on in the back end, like a little peek into the back end there. But so we're going to launch into it with the topic of how do I politely ask my coworkers to use headphones in the break room?
Oh, in the break room.
Or just out. I like to think of it like anywhere.
Okay.
So like especially open concept offices, which are pretty much the norm now because it's just way more convenient as a company. You encounter that all the time. Fellow employees will either play quick clips or music out loud, and I have strong opinions on this. It's never needed, essentially, because if you don't take the time 5 seconds to grab headphone, like you put on headphones, it takes no time. You should already have those plugged into your computer. Then pretty much the only reason you're doing it is just for a little noise and to like, you know, a little bit of attention maybe.
I think
that's my opinion at least, because like headphones should be there for a reason, because like you have your coworkers who are, especially in an open concept office, working, and like to be in the zone at work sometimes takes a lot getting there, and once you're in there you're on fire, but like once you get out of it, like it's sometimes so hard to recover.
See, I think it depends too, and I think I am saying this because I have the privilege of having my own office, where I can actually play stuff, and I do play stuff without headphones, and which is, I mean, to be fair too, sometimes it's different because I'm listening to maybe like full on interviews, and like it's just easier to have that like on loudspeaker sometimes, or like I'm listening to something that I've recorded and just listening back, editing and things like that, and again, that's just easier to have on loudspeakers. Sometimes it's like that, but I guess we don't all have the same job, right? Where you're working with audio like extensively. But you're right. If they don't take the 5 seconds to plug it in or connect the Bluetooth, however you get it connected, then maybe that's just asking for attention.
Yeah, especially like with music, not even just like quick things, but like when you're listening to like songs out loud. Okay, it's so like I know why you're doing this, and it's just like not coming off great. Okay,
well, this is now that we've gotten our opinions out.
Yeah, this is like another.
Right.
Yeah.
So how would you go about asking a coworker
how do you politely ask?
Right, exactly. How would you do it?
I'd probably just ask. This is tough. I never actually had to do it before, so like, hey, just trying to get this done. If you have headphones, could you just throw them on or something like that?
I think
it's very tough for me. I'm very non-confrontational, so I think this is good that I'm talking about it. I'm one of the listeners right now.
I'm not very confrontational either. I'm really bad at that, but definitely the way you said it, like, hey, do you mind? And sometimes the thing is, the easiest way too is to come at it being like, I know you like listening to music. I do too, but it's distracting when it's like this, or, when I've finally just, gotten into my zone and all of a sudden you're, blasting like rock music or whatever.
It's tough. It's a tough subject.
It's a very tough subject, but I know that my dad has actually done this. He purchased just like headphones from Best Buy, and put it on someone's desk and be like,
"Ooh, that's savage."
So it's passive aggressive.
Yeah, holy man.
It's a little more passive aggressive. And put a note, like, try these.
That's so passive.
It wasn't even like use these. It's just you can try these if you want, and then just like put it on someone's desk. And I don't know if it worked, but I mean, I've never heard of that story again. So there's that. So you don't even have to make it obvious that you were the one who put those headphones there. You just like anonymously gift them like $10 headphones. Or earphones.
Like just like gave me a flashback to this morning. Like when I was like, I just got like milk and creamer at the grocery store, and I like went through the self-checkout, like I'll do it. And I was like walking away, and there was like this self-checkout attendant was like, next time bags are going to be 5 cents. Okay. And I was like, what? Who are you right now? Did you just assume I didn't pay for my bag or something? And like, I was like, I didn't say anything. I just walked away. Cause it's like, who is this lady?
In that
but like,
I would actually pull out my receipt and be like,
I really wanted to, but I didn't think of it in the moment because like, I was like, to myself, I always get a bag. And like, sure enough, like I go in my truck, look at the receipt. Oh, 5 cents for a bag. Like,
yeah.
But like, you just assume that I didn't get it? Like, that's a little passive.
Maybe I am a little more confrontational than I let on, because I just realized because I have done that before where someone had assumed that I didn't pay for a bag, and I just like, I wasn't mean about it. I was just like, oh, do you want to see the receipt? And like, just like literally presented it to the attendant, and she was like, oh, cool. Because I mean, you can't be assuming that out of everyone. Like, I get it; it's a reasonable assumption because it's self-checkout. No. Like, no. Hear me out. Like, it's self-checkout, and it's easy to kind of just like not pay for it.
Oh
I
yeah,
get
it's super easy.
But to be assuming that of everyone, just because,
exactly.
I mean, like, it's mean to assume that of everybody. So I don't agree with that, but I also know that it's easy. Right. And like, because again, it's self-checkout. And since there's no supervision, or there's not an attendant over your shoulder going like, hey, you didn't pay 5 cents for that, you can't have it. Like, so I understand it, but it's also kind of like rude.
I like the hill to stand on too. It's like, do we want to like really annoy customers, like make them angry?
Yeah.
Or have 5 cents?
Yeah.
Ooh, let's get that 5 cents.
It's still 5 cents, you know. Business is business, dude.
Yeah, maybe that's why I'm not a good businessman.
But anyway, back to the advice
Yes.
that we're trying to give.
All the way back.
Yeah, so I would say honestly, just like anonymously gift them like, you know, a cheap set of like earphones, and just you don't even have to leave a note. Just like put it on their desk, and like no one has to know that you did that, you know. And if they still don't, I would honestly suggest bringing it up to higher up and asking them to talk to that coworker, and not necessarily in a confrontational way.
I like that plan.
And
I
not
like that.
necessarily because you're like in a way that you're tattling necessarily, but it's just like, can you please ask them to do this, because
It's hard to get work
it's hard
done.
to get work done. Yeah. And when you do it that way to a higher up, they'll be right away they'll be on board, because once you bring work into it, and
They're like, we want our 5 cents. We will do that.
Exactly. Exactly. And so I think not to like stir the pot too much and like bring a higher up into it. It's easier that way, and it's a lot less confrontational that way.
For sure.
But it's also just like, again, your higher ups aren't going to think anything bad of it. It's not like you're accusing them of stealing, right? It's just, can you please help me out with this? Because I don't want trouble. And it's not necessarily trouble. Unless, of course, you're stewing in your seat and you've been
that's not good.
you've been resenting them for so long, right? Then that's different. In which case, I suggest you just get earplugs.
Yeah. All right, cool. I think that's a good end to that segment. And we're almost out of time here, but let's just launch into recommendations as we finish this. So we each bring a recommendation for you guys out there at home. And what's going to be yours this week, Twila?
Well, definitely Travelers. That was the first thing.
Good one.
So there's one. And I know, like, I talked about this in a previous episode, like, that we have yet to upload. But I was reading this book, and I'm done the book now, called A Tale for the Time Being. And it's so good. And it's, I guess, by another Canadian talent. I think she's Canadian-American. I'm not too sure. But it's so good. And not just because it's set in, you know, like around this vicinity, like
set here in town.
Here in town, like not just because of that, but because it's just pure talent, absolutely, and just like that story also raises a lot of good questions and a lot of ethical questions, but there's also a lot of poignant moments that like really touches you, but also just like, I guess because I went through a period of like hardship too, like so. Spoiler alert, I guess, but not really. So one of the characters, she goes through like a period of bullying. And so, like, I guess I related to that because I'd gone through that.
Is there anything you learned from the book?
Anything I learned from the book?
Yeah, after reading it, once you reflected upon it? Not
necessarily nothing that I hadn't learned. And that's not to say that, ooh, I know everything. I don't. It's just that I guess it's nice to know sort of that like fictional characters, I guess, or like other people, like writers, also have an idea of what it's like, you know? And that was sort of like, oh, okay, cool. But it's just, it raises a lot of good questions and a lot of heart, I think. And it's really good. So I highly recommend it to, you know, again, to anyone who is willing to like dive into something a little more emotional, I think. So it's really good. I like it.
Nice. That's a solid recommendation. And if you want to get a little bit more, you can even listen to last week's episode.
Yeah, exactly.
Perfect.
Your turn.
So I guess I'm going to keep in line again with last week's recommendation. Mine is going to be another comic book. Last time I recommended the Rebirth series that spans like all of DC Comics. And this time it's going to be a little less, but also almost the same vein of spanning series. And this time it's still going to be DC. This time it's Dark Knight's Metal, which is incredible.
Is this about Batman?
It focuses around Batman, but the entire universe is drawn into it.
I feel so good knowing that I was right with that one tidbit.
No, good job.
Thank
You're learning. And anyway, the starting point is a title called Dark Knight's Metal, The Forge, I believe it's called, off the top of my head. And that's where it starts off. And pretty much that's all you need to know going into it, because it goes through a lot of different titles through the whole arc. And that's where it's going to be starting. That's where a lot of your foundations are going to be built, as well as the preludes, such as it goes through different Batman of Dark universes. That's also a nice prelude for you. And it's just very interesting. A lot of things get brought up that have never been brought up or haven't been brought up since, like, for the past, like, 20 years. So it's something that's really eye-opening for a lot of fans, as well as in, I believe it's the second or third issue onwards in the first title, Dark Knight's Metal, The Forge. The artwork is incredible. I love the artists that do it. The inkers and the colorists are just incredible. Love it.
Yeah, actually, like, just looking through some, like, comics, it's gorgeous. I will say I am in admiration of all that talent. It's really good.
Awesome. So that's going to be it for this week's episode. 25 minutes deep already.
Woo!
Time flies. All right.
I guess we talk a lot.
We'll catch you next week. Bye.
Bye.